Hello everybody, this is Meryl with Akron Soul Train. Tonight I'm here with resident artist Candy Coated, who will be giving a screen printing demonstration at our Burton D. Morgan Foundation exhibition space. Surrounding us is Candy's exhibition Interwebbing that is on view through August 28th. If you missed the virtual tour that we did on August 5th, you can view that on Akron Soul Train's Facebook or Instagram. The gallery is open Wednesday through Saturday from 11 to 4 with special extended hours this summer on Fridays until 7 p.m. Akron Soul Train is an artist residency program connecting and empowering the community and artists by granting fellowships that provide resources for all creative disciplines to foster a more vibrant Akron. Before we get going, I'd like to thank Akron Soul Train's sponsors for their continued support. The GAR Foundation, Akron Community Foundation, the Ohio Arts Council, Leonard Family Foundation, the Brennan Family Foundation, the Knight Foundation, the Char and Chuck Fowler Family Foundation, and the Corbin Foundation. Anyone viewing, please feel free to comment below with any questions, and we'll get to them towards the end of the program. Also, please comment on any of our videos on Facebook or Instagram, whether you enjoy this type of virtual programming. This helps us continue to put out the most thoughtful and creative programming for you all. Now, for audio purposes, Candy will not be masked, so it will be easier to hear her, but I will stay masked, and we are all vaccinated and taking the proper safety measures. Okay, I'm going to let's see if I can turn the camera around. Oh, there we go. And here we go.
Hi everyone, thank you for being here. Thank you for Akron Soul Train for the great residency and allowing me to share some of my screen printing process with you. This is our installation here, and behind me is a large quilt that is full of some pieces of screen printed fabrics that I've collected over time that are remnants left over from past projects that have kind of come together to make this large piece. So I'm going to show you a little bit of my process and how I come about doing screen printing. I was a master printer at Fabric Workshop and Museum in Philadelphia, and I taught apprentices from all over the world, high school as well as college apprentices, how to screen print fabric yardages. And while I was there, we would use screens that were massive screens. But today, we're going to use screens that are this size. So, maybe some of you have never seen how screen printing is happening or how it comes about, and I can go through the whole process with you from start to finish so you have an idea of how t-shirts are made, wallpaper, textiles. Yeah, and here we go. So this is a screen. This screen will go onto a piece of paper or fabric in this manner. We'll put ink here and pull through. This screen is made of polyester mesh, and you can see my finger behind here. In this green area, the screen has been blocked by this stuff called photo emulsion. I shoot all my screens on a light table, and where this is white or open, where you can see my hand behind, that is where the mesh is open, and when ink is pulled through, it'll look exactly like this. So you can see some similar pieces here, some card shapes there, and this screen also, let's see, you can have some fine lines, graphic lines. So essentially when I shoot it on the screen, I have something called a mylar. And the mylar, or a positive, is this. I like making mine out of cut paper, sticker. I love making stickers. And I pretty much put that on the table. You can see how this matches up perfectly to this right here. So since it's a photographic process, I have a light table that I shoot or expose the screens on. It's a light table where the light comes from below. We put the mylar on the table there. The screen has been previously covered with photo emulsion. We put it on the table. And then we expose the screen for about, this one maybe like 45 seconds to a minute and a half. Wherever the emulsion is blacked by or the light is blacked by the black of the mylar or positive, it acts like sunscreen. So it doesn't let the sun or the light expose that or tan the screen. So then, after I've shot the screen, taken the photo image, I go over to a sink and rinse it out. And wherever the light has been blacked, the emulsion will become soft and will rinse away and leave these areas open. Wherever it has been not blacked, it's exposed to the light and it's burned, just like a sunburn. So that's how you can kind of relate to that. So, mylar or positive, how you make the screen. So that's cool. So I make all my screens that way. I love doing the photo emulsion. This screen here, you can see how that is. And then maybe Meryl, if you want to check out that red piece over there on the wall, that's pretty much the same screen with a few things added. It's the,
right over.
Go to the right a little bit more.
This one?
Yeah. There's two. So what I'll do is I'll print this one now, and then we can hang it up. Let's show. Okay. How I like to print is I have like usually a print table that's covered with fiberfill or quilt batting, and then I have canvas on top. But for our demonstration purposes here in the gallery, we are going to use a towel. So I used to have a school in my apartment in Old City, Philadelphia, that I had a 4-yard print table in there, and I used to have classes. And I would teach everybody how to screen print because I love screen printing so much. So we're gonna print. I just pour the ink straight out. This is a beautiful sunny pearl color. And we're gonna go down to a nice pinky color, and then we'll do some green. These are, those two are pearlized, so they're a little bit more opaque, and this one doesn't have the pearl base in it, so that'll be more transparent. So opaque inks, black light, or you can't see light through. Transparent inks, you can build up multiple layers. So you can see that this ink here is white, and it goes on top of the red, and that is an opaque ink. You can't really see a color change there. But if you see up there those red hearts on the blue, those are transparent, so you can see that coming through. So even though this is a very simple process that I'm showing you with one color, you can make it very complicated by using transparent inks, opaque inks, whatever you like. So what I'm gonna do is what is called a rainbow roll. So I have, meaning multiple colors. So I have these 3 colors here, so I'm gonna chop them back and forth to get them a little bit more blended, and then I'm gonna go behind. So when I pull this ink across, wherever it's open on the screen, it's gonna let the ink go through. So I really like the kind of like 70s rock posters that look really cool. Look at that, how beautiful that is. And so I pull it through, and it messes it up a little bit, but it looks cool. And there you go. So even though it's one screen, we use 3 different colors, and we have a multitude of colors on there. So what I'm gonna do is move this over a little bit, and I'm gonna use these colored papers and print again and show you how the same color ink on different backgrounds completely makes a different look. Same color, different look. Is that gonna be too? Well, we're gonna go over the side there, but that's okay. Okay, ready? So I pull my ink over there. This thing's called a squeegee. And you'll notice that this looks like a well. There's 2 sides to the screen. The table side is the bottom side where it just kind of goes right against the table. And then the well side is always the side that has the ink that goes in there. So that's a swirly rainbow roll. And then when I lift it up, I lift it like a book, and since it's not taped down and it's smaller, you'll see I have to pull off. Ooh, look at that one. Black always looks cool. Okay.
You can really see the pearl come through with the
Yeah.
black.
Especially in different light. Let me take this away, because then maybe you got better light there. There you go. Looks cool. Let's do another on the green and the orange. I just love the black. Black is actually my favorite color. It just makes everything look awesome. So what we'll do here is put these two here, and then we'll do another one here. Oops. I kind of messed it up a little bit, so I'll just scrape a little here. And I want to go and just get mostly the yellow there, but since we've already gone through, sometimes if you're doing the rainbow rule, you kind of have to stop, scrape the ink off, rinse the screen off, and start over. Whoops. So as with any little project demo, you're going to have a little accident. That's okay. Let's put that there.
That's
So
why you have
those
paper
guys
underneath.
Still see the green kind of melted together. Subtle. Okay? So that's that
Yeah,
one.
it's almost a little bit
It got muddy.
marbleized.
Yeah, marbleized. You have to keep the squeegee the same way. So I'm going to give this to Nancy, and then I'm going to wipe this away, and we're going to do the other screen. The other screen, I'm just going to do two colors to give it like a nice fade. So, since I'm doing another screen, I just want to wipe this away. It's like a cooking show. You got to do stuff a certain way. Okay, this here. And then I'm just going to put these on the floor for later. Okay, and now we got this one. This screen. This is so when I shoot the screens, I kind of try to fit as much stuff on there as possible. That last screen, I arranged it so it had like, you could print it all over and it would have like a nice look. This one, I just added some things to it, and I don't want to print this butterfly because it doesn't really go with the flow. So I taped that one off. So since it's taped off, we won't really see it. And then this one I'm going to put here, and I want to do this one more like blues to go with our background and sky. And how about this nice curly, oh, I don't really want to do curly white because it won't show up very well. Let's do yellow again. Yellow, that somehow becomes my favorite. I don't know how or why. Alright. Oops. The thing is, it can be real messy. So I always have a little towel there. Okay, so this is the same process to do t-shirts. So this shirt I have on is a two-color print. First I did the green, then I did the black. And in between the colors, they're two separate screens, this is kind of tricky. I let one dry. Now you see how I have that yellow here and yellow there? I'm going to flip this so I can keep maintaining that. So I only do one pull. When I do t-shirts and stuff, I tend to do 5 pulls. Yeah. And I have a t-shirt here. Nancy, can you take this one away and put it on the floor, please? And I'll do a t-shirt now. Great.
Do you have to use different types of inks for fabric?
Exactly. I tend to use fabric ink for everything because I like printing fabric and paper. So I tend to just use the fabric. That way I can do both and not have to worry about it. So I have a little t-shirt, and I'm going to print on the t-shirt. Usually you put a piece of paper or something on the inside. And then I have a piece of cardboard, but I kind of don't want to do that cardboard. I'm going to use this paper here. Fold it a few times. The reason when you print fabric like a t-shirt, you don't want the ink to go lead through the other side. So if you put t-shirt on the table and the fabric inside, then it won't bleed through because the paper will block it. Usually I stretch it, but for demonstration purposes, we're going to go with this. You can also use like a foam cord if I like doing it. Okay, so we're just going to do it so it flows down. And with fabric, I tend to do multiple pulls to really get it into the material. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So the same screen, you can print paper, fabric, walls, buildings, whatever that is flat. Usually you want to use a squeegee that is the actual length of the screen. Okay, let's see what we got here. Ooh, pretty good, but we missed this whole area in the middle. So what I'll do is when that's dry, I'll take the same, and after I rinse this out, I'll take the same screen, lay it on top, and just print that middle area.
Oh.
And then I'll show you another way of working. In the other room, we have some prints on paper that we've already printed and that are in the exhibition. And we'll just go over there. So you want to go in there. Thank you. You'll see some pieces that are multi-layers. I devised a way of printing that can really build up many, many layers. And you want to get those guys and see what those look like, what I'm talking about.
So you can see each color is a different layer, a different screen. And we're going to work on the one that is in the middle of these two.
Yeah, we stole it off the wall.
You're allowed to do that.
So these are tiny screens. I make these out of little, what do you call it? Painting frames.
Oh.
And then I stretch them myself and staple them down. So this way, you don't have to have a whole big screen. You don't have to have like large cleanup. It's just very easy. Just
And you can
tiny screen.
You can buy the mesh fabric separate.
Yep, separately, and then stretch it really hard. Staple it a lot. So this way you can also isolate little designs. You can have, if you're a fashion designer, you can have your logo on there, and then you can just put it and make your own labels. So there's something to be said for the little tiny screens, so that you, I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, you
the
can
light.
see a little bit.
And then this way you can build these up because the screen's smaller. Usually if you print a big screen, your screen frame might touch areas that are already wet. So in this case, you can just print a bunch of little stuff and not have to worry because the screen won't be in the way. It's not so big. So in this screen, we have many things on it because I like putting as much stuff on as possible. So it looks like a cute design on its own, but I'm like, oh, I only want to print just these stones. So I tape everything off and that blocks it. And on here, we already have some glitter, sticker stuff. So in here, I'm just going to do some over here. Get that there. And then this I'm going to do like a fade. So I'll do a lighter color, silver up top, and then the darker at the bottom. And you can see you really don't need that much ink. So not that much goes through. Okay, so I got these cute little squeegees. So cute. With the squeegees, you can see like this is a chisel blade, or not a chisel, that's a flat head. So this is good for graphic design. And the way that you print, as I pull across, the bigger the angle, the more ink will go down. So if I'm printing t-shirts, t-shirts and stuff, I'll have a longer angle or this kind of angle. But if I'm doing paper, I only have to do one print. So I want it to go down and scrape off at the same time. So I keep it up a little bit more. You'll see that these are rounded edge, and these have been used a lot, and it's a different material. Each squeegee is made of different kind of rubbers. So this one's like a little softer, this one's a little harder. So the softer one will bend. So as I'm printing, see how it's bending? That'll put a lot of ink down as we pull across. This one, as I pull across, it doesn't really bend, so it'll go nice sharp line. So I'm going to use this one. So again, we're going to chop together, pull across. We only need one. So now lift it. Cute. There it is.
Goes right on top of that.
Yeah. So that was kind of, let's do another one over here. Because we want to make it look cool, but we want to, well, let's do one over here. I don't want to go too much on that, but I can go also on the edge. That's the other thing. You don't have to, I like stuff coming off the edge. So we want to make sure we use the same dark to dark. Got a couple of those there. It's not as exciting as I thought it would be, but do another one on the black, just so you can see.
So this is a much more kind of free-form way of screen printing than I think a lot of people are used to seeing, with editions and t-shirts.
Right.
Where you have to make a bunch that look the exact same.
Exactly the same. I like stuff being, even though this is a multiple project where you, or a multiple technique where you can make hundreds of the same. I don't like making the same thing all the time. I like everything to be different. So even though I could have all 10 of this printed out, I still will then go back and try different things. And with this way of printmaking, you can definitely customize or make one-of-a-kind pieces. So it's more to me like fine art printing rather than production printing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just gonna do, so this would be like one layer. So I would print a bunch of these colors, set them aside, and then I would wait till they're dry, which this is a fine line, so it'll dry pretty quickly. Then I would come back and do maybe another one over there, or do something else. Get another screen, and just build up. And that's how these were made. So these, even though if you did color separation, like a 4-color separation, you could have 4 different drops. Each way of printing this would be a drop. Like this pink is a drop, that yellow is a drop, that yellow is a drop. You could build up the drops individually with these little ones, but if you have color separations, you would have already separated. There's no excitement because you know exactly what it's going to be like.
Mm.
So then you would do like 40 of these all the same. But to me that means I'm not really interested in that kind of thing. I like stuff to be different. So if you see on this one and then those 2 back there, I did all the green ones on the black paper at the same time, like had 40 pieces laid out, did all the green ones. Then I came back, did all the pink ones, came back, did all the gold. So that way you can build stuff up. This piece, you can see some, there's not as much in this piece of the printed pieces that are left over.
These are.
Yeah, those are. There's more so in the big quilt. And also this little quilt around here, if you want to go check that one out, that one has it as well. And I'll scoot out there.
So you can see this piece has the screen printed designs, and this area as well. And then they all form together.
Yeah. So over here you can see how these are little print pieces. Those I tend to really like. Here you can see some transparent parts. I just really like the gold and stuff. And then when you have the little bits and pieces left over, they're abstractions of the larger piece, so you really never know what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks, you know, little parts and
It's
pieces
a really
put together.
exciting way of working.
Yeah, this is actually a cool technique for quilt makers. Like even if you have little pieces left over, you can make them your own just by printing a little bit on it, on the leftover pieces, then sewing them together. And it just is, so then you never have waste. And especially in our sustainable society and recycling and upcycling, this is like a really cool way to go. So, you know, even if you buy things at like secondhand shops and customize them, this is a good way to customize. The smaller screens are easier to customize because they're more, like you can just print on yourself with the fabric on.
I had never
Seams are
seen,
tricky.
I had never seen using picture frames to repurposing that. I think that's such a great idea.
Yeah, they have to be flat though, because if you have any kind of
Ridge.
yeah. And then a lot of teachers like to print on hard tables. I do not like that. I like printing on a fabric table or something with a little bit of give, or on a towel. That way when you push down, it will let the fabric take, or the paper take the image. Sometimes if the table is uneven or a hard surface, it doesn't really, like you saw on that.
There's like too much pushback maybe?
Too much pushback and it will sploosh out. Or it won't print, like how it was in that middle piece there.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Do you ever have an idea of what you want the finished piece to look like, or is it all just completely intuitive?
No, I mean, I have a set plan. Like, I look at wallpapers for years and years, and patterns and fabrics and stuff like that. So I know, like, half drop and repeat. There's this whole mathematical algebraic formula stuff to wallpaper and patterns and stuff like that. So once you just keep looking at them, you train your eye and your mind to know how to do repeats. And since I taught people how to do wallpapers and fabrics and repeat designs and yardages for a long time, I just had like a subconscious formal understanding of like what looks good, how far to place it. So you could print 50 yards of fabric with just this little screen. You just do all your diamonds, like half drop, use the screen as a measurement, build up a large print with just little pieces. I like that idea of what you can see in the quilts, little pieces coming together to make a large piece.
And how do you know when a print is done? When one of your screen prints is done?
Sometimes there's this concept in physics called expansion contraction of nature. It has to do with time, like how much time you have is how much you use, and you'll fill that time with whatever you have. So say I have like an hour and a half to do a couple of drops, I'll just do that, and I'll print until that. Or if I have 3 weeks to print something, I'll just print in the 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden it just seems done. So I just like let myself go over to that physics concept.
It's a good way of thinking.
There's an artist, Matthew Ritchie, that makes very large installation wall pieces. He also uses that concept. It looks like chaos and drawing and stuff, and so he just does it until he has no more time left, and that's it. So I like to do it that way.
Yeah.
So for example, installing this show, I accidentally broke my ankle just before, and normally it takes me a week to install a show, but this time I could only do it in a couple days, and I usually have a team, but I was just like, I could only do it 2 days. So we did it in 2 days. So whatever time you have is the time you use. So that's also like a Zen principle of life. So that's how I know when stuff's done. So even with this show, I could still put more sequins and more stickers up and stuff, but we had to stop at 5 o'clock that day, and that was it. So it was done at that moment.
Yeah. Well, if anyone watching has any questions, now's the time to type them into our comments, and we can get to them. I think I might have asked all of my questions. Anything about screen printing, about the show? This is your chance.
Sometimes the questions come later, so if they
And
want to ask,
sometimes-
they can come back and like check that out. So now they know that, you can see that this black part is under that, and then this is on top of that.
Yeah, so if you're able to come and see the show in person, you can kind of pick out all of these details and see where she's used screen printing in really unique ways and in kind of a multimedia approach.
I think it's more fun this way because it doesn't seem like work. It's more like play, and you're like inventing new arrangements each time. It's not like the same thing over. It's not production, you know. It's like more free.
Yeah.
So, for example, I'll just show you one example over here that, like, these are cool. This was done in that process. So these are the big screens. So it would have been the first screen that we did, and then came back after it was dry and did little ones. Now this one is like a 6-color separation yardage. So we did like 20 yards of this, but you can see how it's all fitting together.
So each color is placed kind of purposely on top of each other. Yeah.
Exactly, like each screen had to be shot all in order and had to be perfect, and you know, that's cool and stuff for a little bit, but it just doesn't seem free, you know?
Yeah. So this one in comparison to this one, the two of the different types of screen printing applications.
So in fashion, you know, you have different colorways for each season. So you could change this up and have like, this would be like a summer colorway, and do some like browns and golds for fall. So you could change it up that way, but you would still have to have the system of all those screens. In this case, you can do, like you can see this one is the same butterfly ink color, but 2 different backgrounds. So it's just more experimentation and color play and mixing of colors and all that stuff. I like that stuff better.
Yeah, I think that makes it really, really fun. And there's just so many possibilities.
Yeah, it's true.
And then I love the idea of also using the scraps and it becoming more abstracted and based off the shapes and the colors.
Yeah, so I could essentially, the other thing is my art usually kind of doesn't stop. So what I could do is I could still print on top of any of these naked areas or any of these areas and add more. Stretch it on the table and add more. It doesn't have to be finished right now, forever. It could just be, this is its space right now, and then I could be like, oh, I'm gonna cut this up and reprint it and redo it. So this piece had, parts of it have been in a large tapestry that was in one of the shows I had at the Philadelphia Museum of Art, and I know it's terrible, but I cut it off and made it other things. So
I think that's great.
It's kind of bad. It's actually a little bit bad, but that's the evolution of the stuff. It just keeps going. Just because it was in that stasis, like with this one, it can only be this print in the layered up, but this one I can just keep coming back and printing. So the same with that quilt, I can still be chopping it up, and so even parts of that quilt there, I think a few strips came from that Philadelphia Museum of Art show. That show was called Candy Coated Wonderland. You can look at it on my website. There's a link to it, and you can see it's a big, huge panel. I think actually this piece might have been in it. This part, all of this. So that way it gets to have another life. It doesn't have to, it's just like us, we graduate, we go from high school to college or working, and it just keeps living. It doesn't stay static, you know? So even with a couple of the pieces here, especially the little cups in the front, those were in a show before, but I wanted to do more to them, so I added gold luster. So then they got a chance to be in another form. The stuff just doesn't stop. So I like that.
That's an awesome way of working. Okay, well, thank you so much, Candy.
Thank you.
For showing us your process. I'm going to see if I can flip the camera around, and then I'll be in front of...
Yes, and then you're in front of it.
Now I'm in front of the quilt. Okay, so once again, I'd like to thank Candy for showing us the screen printing process, the way that she works, and for you all for tuning in. Once again, Candy's exhibition Interwebbing will be up through August 28th, and our gallery hours are Wednesday through Saturday, 11 to 4 p.m., with extended Friday hours until 7 p.m. this summer. And there's also the virtual tour that is on the Akron Soul Train Facebook and Instagram page, where we kind of went through her entire show, and Candy gave really great commentary on everything. So yes, thank you all for joining us, and we're gonna say bye.